if we're talking about sprint-based football, feed the cats football, whatever people want to call it, give us some of the general things you're looking for to say, hey, these are the things you need to be doing in your program if you're wanting to be successful, and follow kind of what we would suggest.
Yeah, first of all, I don't think we can jump into the season without at least mentioning the off season. In the off season, excuse me, in the off season, instead of chasing conditioning, endurance, we're going to chase athleticism. And I love to ask coaches. I consult with coaches all over the world now, and I say, Coach, what does it mean when you say a kid is athletic? And it makes them think. And the first word out of their mouth is fast. The next word is explosive. The word that never comes out of their mouth is they can endure long periods of third degree. I mean, never do they talk about an athlete being in shape. They would all love to have fast, explosive, strong athletes. So a Feed the Cats program is a disciplined pursuit of less. So we're going to do less, but we're going to do it at a much higher level. And so instead of getting in shape all summer, we're going to get faster. In 10 weeks, you can get 1 mile an hour faster, which makes a totally different human being. And practices will have to be condensed, which is good for coaches, good for coaches' families. I'm very concerned with the state of coaching these days, where coaches are dropping like flies, and it's their own damn fault. They put too much on their plate. They try to go big on everything. You can't go big on everything. You have to prioritize, and this is really essentialism is at the heart of a Feed the Cats program. Now jump into the season. We should be speed training at least 1 time a week, hopefully 2, 1 or 2. And this is TCU did a great job with this 3 years ago when they were picked 9th in their conference, and they played Michigan for the state champ, or they played somebody for the national championship and got slaughtered. They played Georgia, I believe. And so anyway, this is not new, but it's kind of new, because as you know, football's so traditional that I could go to a practice this afternoon and it would look like my practice from 50 years ago. I mean, that's how traditional football is. And so what we try to do in season, let me explain what a speed workout would look like. Throw away your 30-minute warm-up. Don't put on your shoulder pads and helmets. You're just going to have like a 30-minute, you're going to do 10 speed drills. You're going to time 2 sprints, and you're going to record, rank, and publish those sprints. And this is so essential in many ways. First of all, it makes your athletes more durable. Soft tissue injuries seem to go away when you sprint a couple times a week. Sprinting is global, meaning that sprinting is speed is the tide that lifts all boats. That as we get faster in a straight line, we get faster with our first step. That slow people are never explosive. Fast people who are strong are explosive. So we are going to get faster in season. Another thing that happens is that coaches learn stuff. If on a Wednesday, all your guys are 2 miles an hour slow, you have to look in the mirror and say, what in the hell did I do? What did we do? They're all slow. It wasn't like one guy didn't get a good night's sleep. My team is beaten up right now. So what happens is speed becomes a barometer of health. That a slow team is an unhealthy team. A slow team has probably been overworked, and high volumes is the #1 cause of injuries in sports in America. High volumes, #1 cause of injury. Most injuries happen when an athlete is fatigued, and most athletes are fatigued every damn day because you worship the grind. You have posters up that says, rise and grind, and we're told that everybody's sore, everybody's tired, and we just have to have no excuses and come out and keep going. But if you're timing, you find out that that's not the best way to enter a game. You do not want to enter a game with having burned the steak all week, slow, with your best 3 players injured.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. I've got, and just so you guys know, like, Tony's got a ton of stuff out there if you're looking for drills that you can go find. But I think the idea was that I wrote down the main thing that we do. I don't know if we're even doing the right drills with it, but I know that we were trying to sprint
Mhm.
1 day a week. And our kids get out there and we've explained it to our kids about this. We're going to ask you, we are only asking to run 2 to 3 20 to 40 yard dashes. That's it. And then, like you said, if we have the ability to rank, record, and publish, we do. If we and we try to do that during the off season. During the in season, we usually don't have that. So what we do is we pair them up so they race because that gets the adrenaline pumping. So at least we're getting a competition there. Because like what he said, the ultimate goal is to get them to run as fast as they really can, like not to hold back. So we want to rank, record, and publish. We usually do that during the off season. During the in season, just because of limited facilities and whatever, we just put them in groups of their similar ability and we tell them it's a race. And then that kind of gets the juice going. So I'm a big fan of that. The second question I'm going to kind of move toward. I had a few different ones here I want to hit. So I know you did track, but I know you work with football coaches, and I know there's a lot of stuff out there with football coaches. When you say things like modify practices for a football coach, what does that mean? Like what are you meaning by when I say I need to modify my practice? Let's say that we have a game Friday. So I have my kids after the game Friday, you have Saturday, Sunday, all the way through to a game. What are some non-negotiables you would say, Coach, if you're doing this, you're really doing it wrong? Or what are some things you would say, here's what I would suggest, but that's kind of up to you. And what are some things you would suggest to them?
Well, the non-negotiables and the suggestions are probably the same thing because I feel so strongly about these things. And obviously, anything that I say is a non-negotiable, another human may say that's I get to make the decision, so screw you. So we say no conditioning, no conditioning. That we don't ever want to burn the stake in any practice, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. As you know, the old model was to go hard 2 or 3 times a week. And everybody knew that you need to take the day after a game off. If you play Friday night, you got to take Saturday off because otherwise it's going to be a downward spiral. If you're going hard on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, where's your day off? And when we say go hard, football coaches, they're playing more than 5 minutes of football on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, which is, if you're playing one way on Friday night, you're playing 5 minutes of football. The stand around to play ratio is about 30-1 if you're playing one way. 30-1. You're standing around 30 minutes for every 1 minute you're actually playing football. But if you are constantly moving Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you are running 80 plays and you're running conditioning and you're doing stations and all this stuff, your volume is probably double what your game volume is with no day off the next day. And that starts to detrain athleticism. Athleticism wins games. Another problem with constant fatigue is that our brain does not learn very well when we're tired. So, that's the case in chemistry. If a kid doesn't sleep the night before, he's not going to learn electron configurations the next day. We just don't absorb things. So football is a skilled game. It's a brutal game, but it's also a skilled game. So if you are teaching skills to players that are in a constant state of fatigue, they're not learning them very well, or they're learning them in a sloppy way. So every coach, my father was a lifetime coach, every coach says quality over quantity. But then what they do does not match what they say because we want more, 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 more. There was a private school outside of Cincinnati a couple of years ago that they got GPS, and they found out that their pregame had more volume than their game. And the reason for that is their number ones took every rep in pregame. So even though it was an hour practice, they were burning the stake pregame on Thursday. And then there's also teams that I swear to God have a bigger volume of warm up than they do play in the game. And combine that with the sympathetic nervous system producing all this adrenaline, which is fight, flight, or freeze, and narrows our focus and does not allow us to play instinctively. All those things really tend to cause us to play poorly. Now, the problem comes is that you can do all the wrong things, and if the other team is dumber than you still win. You know, dumb is undefeated against dumber. And that's what I've gone to football games where neither team deserved to win, but one team goes out off celebrating and the other team thinks they need to change everything. So it's a wild game, and I love football coaches because they're so dedicated, but their power is also their weakness. And
Yeah.
that is, you've got to hold back. You've got to put an athletic, healthy team on the field on Fridays. And one last thing about this Feed the Cats approach is that practices will become more joyful. Now, it's going to bother you because your kids are not going to crawl off the field like you've always learned they were supposed to, but they will be more joyful. And as football at your school becomes more joyful, that point guard that would probably be a possible NFL safety on your basketball team, he'll walk by football practice and say, maybe I want to play football. And right now, most football programs do not attract cats, you know, those athletes that kind of that basketball loves, those athletes, those guys that can dunk, those guys that can move, those guys that have never worn shoulder pads and a helmet, but they could come out and probably start in the first game for their high school because they're so athletic and they're so competitive.